In this video we're going to look at the various settings within our i2Scan jobs at a greater level. So let's modify an existing job here and have a look at some of the options that we have. So once again, a job merely represents a series of settings for a document type or a business process. We could either create a new job, or to modify an existing one we double click on it. Now this is where we would scan or import a sample document. And you'll see in this example we've got some zones already created. To modify an existing zone, we move our mouse onto the dotted outline and double click. This will bring up our zone properties window. Now we have several options in front of us in our zone properties. We can specify here a zone type being OCR text, a barcode that it can be read and data extraction to occur. We can specify the orientation of that barcode to improve its speed. We could simply get that area that we've defined to be zoomed in on screen for an operator to type the information in, or at that point they can use the mouse and use lasso OCR to highlight that machine print information, and it will be populated in that index field. We can also create a list of values. Now, a list of values is simply a pull-down list that the operator will be presented with as part of the document profiling. To add or create a list of values, you would simply type the information in here, hit the plus button, and they will be added to our list. We can even import an external list of fields or information as a CSV file, bring that into i2Scan, and you'll see that it'll support 2 columns of text, a value, but also a descriptor if you wish to help the operator in validating our documents. We can make the field mandatory, that is, that an operator must validate the information, if we wish for it to be zoomed in, and we can even remove spaces when the data is being extracted off the document. Under formatting, let's see if we specify, for example, that it's to be OCR'd. You'll see that our formatting features become enabled. What we can do here is we can specify the character set to use as part of our OCRing. And this can improve both the speed and accuracy of our data extraction. So if we, for example, could specify that it's alpha, numeric, or to create a custom set where we might use such things as dashes, dots, or even dollar signs. Now, creating a custom set, that means that that's the only information that is going to be used to recognize that particular zone. Under format structure, you can specify not only the number of characters to expect, but their format. For example, there might be alpha and then a number. And anywhere you see the question mark icon, you can click on it to bring up further information about a particular feature. So once again here you could specify the zone is first 3 might be alpha, the next one might be a numeric, etc, etc. Remembering this is to marry up with our particular character set that we're using. We can enforce the formatting rule if we wish. And last but not least, under SmartSeek, SmartSeek is where we can specify strings of text within a particular zone to be interrogated and located. For example, such thing as total and balance. We would list them here, separating them by commas. Once again, there's a question mark icon here to clarify this information further. And we can also get i2 to extract that information once it's found that particular string of information using SmartSeek. You can see we can specify to extract the characters after the SmartSeek word, remembering that we're also specifying here our formatting of what to expect. So SmartSeek can be a very powerful way of locating information where its location might vary on each of the documents. Once we've created a zone, and by the way, to create other zones it's as easy as clicking on the Add Zone button and drawing that region, and you'll see the zone properties window. we have the Properties button here. This is where we would name our job. Password protected if we wish. That means that operators can't change some of the settings once we've configured it. You can see that we have the option to process and export batches without user intervention. This is particularly useful if we're reading barcodes or OCRing the text and we're finding that the accuracy is very, very high each time. And really, an operator doesn't need to get involved. Now, what we can even do here is build business rules that if, say, the OCR or barcode confidence is below a certain percentage, flag that and bring in that to an operator for validation, otherwise pass through to the keeper. If we're exporting lots of documents, or certainly where we're creating text searchable PDFs, and there might be some delay in exporting our batches, we can even speculate, or should say specify here, to export the batches during processor idle time. This means that when the computer is not being used, in the background i2 will save and export its batches. This is where we specify our ISIS compliant scanner, or we're using the document importer and our sample jobs. Under the Capture tab, this is where we can specify how we want our documents to be separated. We can do such things as separate by a number, a separation sheet, which we will print from within i2 Scan, and we recommend that we print these on a light coloured piece of paper, and we simply put these separation sheets in between our documents, we scan the batch, and every time i2 Scan sees that job separator sheet, it'll know to create a new document on the fly. We print these in a light colour so we can easily view them after we've scanned our documents and reuse them in our next batch. We could separate by a barcode, and you can see here that I haven't specified a barcode zone on my document, so it's advising me of that. But we could have a barcode, draw a zone, and advise every time it sees a barcode on that document to create a new file. But also we could separate our files based on a unique OCR value that might occur on the first page of each of our documents. Our Image Filter tab allows us to do image cleanup, so we can do such things as sharpen, deskew, and even detect the orientation of our documents have different orientation, say portrait or landscape, or even upside down as we've scanned them. If we're scanning documents that have been created from a multifunction device, so it's a watch folder, we can even delete blank pages. Our Pre-index tab. Now, a pre-index is something that's going to be a constant over a batch, but the operator needs to only enter it once when at the start of the batch. So we can prompt for a pre-index value that might be a list box. We can have as many of these as we want. An example here might be a particular client name or a client code. But we can also prompt for something that's going to be keyed in that might vary each time a batch is created. And once again, these will be entered once by the operator but used for every document in that batch. The export settings. This is where we specify how we want our documents to be outputted. If we specify that they're images only, to a CSV file or other databases, and when we hit the Configure button, you'll see that it brings up our options, for example, for our index data, where do we want our text or CSV file in this case to be created, the name of that CSV file, and because we've got line item extraction, this is an example where we're using accounts payable, we can also specify the information from each of our line items. Our export folder, where our images are going to be located, and we even have the option to create directories and subdirectories as we process our documents in our batch. The file type or file format that we're going to be using to save our documents, and we have the option to build our file name based on system and our zones that we've created in our job. To change the order of any of the information in our CSV files, or our file name, or subdirectories for that matter, you simply select the item, and when you see these blue up and down arrows, you simply specify the order, enable the box, and that'll be part of the file name now. When we're done with creating our or modifying our job properties, we close our job, save our changes, and we're ready to either scan or watch our directory and process our documents against that particular job. For more information, you're welcome to view other videos which give us more specific information on some of the features of i2scan, or you're welcome to visit our website i2scan.com.au.